Hello and welcome back to Like Maria. Today I'm doing something a little different. I'm going to run through really quickly all 15 poems on the AQA Power and Conflict cluster, and this is really to help you with revision, whether it's mocks or the real exams, and to get these poems in your head. So I've got my cards in front of me. As you can see, I've written the title, the person who wrote the poem, the name of the poet. I've then written the first line out, and then I've just made a quick note of what's in the poem. So I'm going to use my cards to give you a really quick run through and reminder, perhaps something you could watch the night before the exam. So do like and subscribe for more revision videos, and let's get going. Ozymandias, Percy Bysshe Shelley. I met a traveller from an antique land. This is the one where the statue has a sneer of cold command, crumbles away into the desert, and we're supposed to think about how temporary power is in the real world and how power can evaporate very quickly. London by William Blake. I wander through each chartered street. So this is the poem where the mind-forged manacles appear. Blake is wandering around London and he sees lots of woe and harlots screaming and young babies, and he really paints a terrible picture of London. The extract from the Prelude by William Wordsworth. One summer evening, led by her, I found a little boat. This is a narrative about the youthful Wordsworth, or a youthful child who goes out rowing on the lake and has an experience of terror. He is frightened by what he sees in nature and the mountain. One could argue that it is an experience of moving from innocence to experience. My Last Duchess by Robert Browning. That's My Last Duchess painted on the wall. So this is the one where we have the Duke, who is talking about how he got rid of his marriage, he got rid of the last Duchess, and he's talking in a monologue form, in a dramatic monologue, to the person who has come to make a bargain about a new bride. The Charge of the Light Brigade by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Half a league, half a league, half a league onward. Here we talk about the charge in the Battle of Balaclava. There's much mention of the Valley of Death and the noble 600 who died there and risked their lives in order to try and win the battle. Exposure by Wilfred Owen. Our brains ache in the merciless iced east winds. This is the poem where nothing happens. Repeatedly, nothing happens. It's about soldiers who are absolutely freezing in the terrible temperatures and conditions, and they are just on the brink of wanting to do something and take action, but nothing is ever happening and no one really wins. It's a terrible depiction of a static nature of war. Storm on the Island by Seamus Heaney. We are prepared. It starts off describing the cottages on the island, and then it talks about the weather bombarding the islanders and the island by things like bullets and a salvo. So the islanders are being attacked. There's obvious reference here to the conflict in the north of Ireland. Bayonet Charge by Ted Hughes. Suddenly he awoke and was running. So this is the terrible one where the soldier, from the soldier's perspective, we see what is happening in the field where he has been ordered to charge, and the takeaway image from this, I really feel, is the yellow hair which is in that ball of flames that is across the field, and it describes the horrors that the soldier feels turning into a statue-like being at moments, reflecting on moments poignantly of the charge and the stress of the charge. Remains by Simon Armitage. On another occasion, we get sent out to tackle looters. This is a poem really about PTSD and about how a soldier is sent on a mission and has a terrible experience, and the blood shadow of the person that he shoots at and kills stays with him and brings back horrible memories and dreams that he can't shake off. Poppies by Jane Weir, another war poem. 3 days before Armistice Sunday. The mother in this poem talks about the boy in the blazer, the little child that she sent off to school, and the comparison is made to sending the young man off to war and to danger. And she walks around the town having these memories, these terrible memories, of sad memories of when the boy left. War Photographer by Carol Ann Duffy. In his dark room, he is finally alone. So here, a poem about the experiences of a war photographer, and perhaps torn because he can't intervene. He has the images of war and pain that he brings back to his studio to develop, but he sees so much horror, and the poem really reflects the horror and juxtaposes that with his job and the people that he is giving the photographs to print, and the audience that will read about these things and see these things in his photograph. Tissue by Imtiaz Darker. Paper that lets the light shine through. Really, this is an exploration of the tissue, the things that go through society to build society and create the tissue of our lives. So whether it be the things that we buy, the things that we experience, Imtiaz Darker here talks about how all these things contribute and how we are all the same. We all have tissue in our lives, and things are very delicate. The things that make us people are very delicate, and we must appreciate them. The Emigre by Carol Rumans. There once was a country. This is about somebody remembering their city in its beauty, and there is a strong significance here of the sunlight that pours down on the city, and the sunlight that this emigre, the person who has left that city for a new country, carries with her. She carries the sunlight with her to bring a positivity to her experience that outshines all the negativity she might well encounter. Checking out my history, John Agard, Dem Tell Me, Dem Tell Me. This is the poem that talks about the differences between actual real history that has occurred and the history that is taught particularly in British schools. So for example, John Agard tells us about Toussaint Louverture and Nanny de Maroon, who are people that he knows about and that are very the unsung heroes of history that are written out of history. And by the very act of writing this poem and expressing his history, John Agard here brings those people into history and into light and makes them heroes, and contrasts them with the rather tried and tested heroes of British history as it's taught in schools. Kamikaze by Beatrice Garland. Her father embarked at sunrise. This is the story about the grandfather who was a pilot, and he goes on a kamikaze mission, but he can't complete it. He thinks of his life and his experiences of life, and he can't face the suicide mission, so he returns, but by doing that he brings great shame upon his family, and so his partner never speaks to him again. The mother in the poem never speaks to him again, and it's very problematic. So there you have it, all 15 poems on the AQA specification, done and dusted. Good luck with that exam. Cheerio, and see you next time for more revision.